Good morning, all of you. So, today we are going to do topic 1.3, the years of depression. Okay, now, basically in this topic, you'll be reading how the economy of Germany started declining, how people they started losing their job. From being employed, they turned to unemployed. All of a sudden, there was an increase in the population of unemployed youth. Okay, so let's start. The years between 1924 and 1928 saw some stability. So between 1924 to 1928 in Germany there was some stability. ठीक है, stability का मतलब था that एक ठहराव थी politics में, economy में. People were not, it was not an unstable situation and एक instability नहीं आई थी. Rather everything was going smooth and calm. Yet this was built on sand, but this stability was built on sand. Building on sand means that it was not long living. Okay, ये बहुत थोड़े समय तक के लिए थी. It was very short lived. German investments and industrial recovery were totally dependent on short-term loans, largely from US. So, German investment, all the investment that they made, the industries that recovered, that means जो industries नई establishment आ रही थी industries में या फिर industries they were investing more capital, ये कहाँ से ला रहे थे? They were doing it with the help of short term loans. Now your meaning of short term loan is जब बहुत थोड़े समय के लिए कोई आपको लोन दे, maybe for a year or two. Okay, and these all investment was coming from where? This all investment was being financed from USA. Okay, United States of America. This support was withdrawn when Wall Street Exchange crashed in 1929. So, but it was very short living. It was only for 4 years that Germany was able to build its economy. After that, what happened was that USA withdrew its support. Withdrawing here support means, you know what, that it disagreed to give them short-term loans. And this was because the Wall Street Exchange had crashed. ठीक है, वहां की जो वॉल स्ट्रीट एक्सचेंज थी वो क्रैश कर चुकी थी और यूएसए अब फियर कर रहा था लोगों को या जर्मनी को लोन्स देने में. Fearing a fall in price, people made frantic efforts to sell their shares. Okay, so what happens? People what they felt that now since the Wall Street Exchange had failed, अब बहुत economic depression आता और इस डर से लोग क्या करने लगे? They started selling their shares. It was the start of Great Economic Depression. Over the next 3 years, between 1929 and 1932, the national income of USA fell by half. So, this was the beginning of your Great Economic Depression. ग्रेट इकोनॉमिक डिप्रेशन आई थी यूएसए में, जहां पे नेशनल इनकम जो यूएसए का था इट रिड्यूस टू ऑलमोस्ट इट्स हाफ. ओके, सो जस्ट इमेजिन कितना ज्यादा लॉस हुआ होगा अगर नेशनल इनकम रिड्यूस किया है. दैट क्लियरली मीन्स दैट पीपल हैव लॉस्ट देयर जॉब्स. ओके, factories shut down, exports fell, farmers were badly hit, and speculators withdrew their money from the market. So what happened? Now everybody started suffering from top to bottom, from a farmer to a money lender to industrialist. Everybody started suffering from the Great Depression. Exactly what is happening now in the world. If you see, nobody can say that I am in a comfortable state now. Okay, be it an owner of a big institute or be it any employees. Okay, nobody can say that we are in a comfortable state in this pandemic. How our country is seeing, or you can say worldwide, there is an economic depression. So similar state at that time was seen, and it was termed as the Great Economic Depression. The effects of this recession in US economy was felt worldwide. So, since US had invested lots in other countries also, so when recession came in US, the effect was seen worldwide. Not only the people in US lost the job, but others who were working for the US based companies, even they lost their job. The Germany economy was worst hit by the economic crisis. By 1932, industrial production was reduced to 40% of the 1929 level. So Germany economy was worst hit. The most effect of the crash, or you can say the Great Depression, was seen on economy of Germany. And in 1932, industrial production was reduced to 40%. Now whatever was being produced in Germany, almost 40% the production was reduced. Okay, from only 60% things were being produced, and 40% production was reduced. Workers lost their jobs or were paid reduced wages. So obviously, if the production is reducing, that means company is facing loss, industry is facing loss. So in order to meet up their expenses, what would they do for cost cutting? What they started doing, they started removing workers from the jobs. या तो वो उन्हें जॉब से निकालने लगे, और even if they were working, they were paid less. The numbers of unemployed touched to an unprecedented 6 million. So 6 million people became unemployed. On the streets of Germany, you could see men with placards around their necks saying, willing to do any work. So what happened on the streets of Germany, the unemployment had gone up to such height that people on German street, they used to sit with the placards around their neck writing willing to do any work. So people had the situation had brought people to such state, such situation, that they were ready to do any kind of job, they were ready to do any menial job. Unemployed youth playing cards or simply sat at the street corners or desperately queued up at the local employment exchange. So, either unemployed youth, they used to play cards, they had no work, they used to simply, they used to sit near the corners of the street, or what they started doing is they used to queue up at the local employment exchange, जहाँ पे locally people were provided job. They used to wait for hours waiting for their job. Okay, and that too, it was not that their job was secured. It was not that if they are standing there they'll be provided with job, but still they used to stand there for hours in order to get job. As jobs disappeared, the youth took to criminal activities, and total distress became commonplace. So what happened? Now job decreased. Now there was no job or very less job. So what would the people do? Since always remember, you are happy till you have enough to eat at home. जिस दिन एक ऐसा सिचुएशन आएगा जहाँ पे आपके फैमिली के पास खाने को नहीं होगा, you will be ready to do any work to feed them. So same happened. The criminal activities became a very common sight, and total despair. That means people became very hopeless. They never hoped for a good future to come. How now we are feeling that this corona is not going to end. It will end. We know that, but it's very difficult for us to hope or imagine a situation where everything will become the same as it was in the past. So same happened. People in Germany could not think for a better future for themselves. The economic crisis created deep anxiety and fear in the people. The middle classes, especially salaried employees and pensioners, saw their diminished when currency lost its value. So what happened? The economic crisis created so much of fear in the people that what they started feeling. Even the salaried employed, the people who were from the organized sectors, the pensioners, even they felt that now the amount, or you can say the value of currency, is going to reduce, and what money we are earning or what money we have in our banks won't be enough for our survival. Small businessmen, the self-employed, and the retailers suffered as their businesses got ruined. So the small businessmen, the retailers, they suffered the most. Why? Because their business got ruined. These sections of the society were filled with the fear of proletarialization. They were these people, the small businessmen, the retailers, they were filled with the fear of proletarialization. Proletarialization एक situation होती है where you start fearing that what money we have, tomorrow we might not be able to fulfill our needs, and we might fall into the category of being poor. Okay. and anxiety of being reduced to the ranks of working class, or worse still the unemployed. So what they started fearing, what anxiety these people had. Right now the people who were in the middle class, or they were termed as the middle class of the society, what fear they started suffering from, that एक समय आएगा when we will be reduced to the working class. आज भले ही हमारे पास पैसे हैं, but the way the things are going, maybe in future will become working class, or worse, or even worse than them, and will become unemployed. It was only a fear. Yet the situation had not come such. Only organized working workers could manage to make their heads, keep their heads above water. But unemployment weakened their bargaining power. So what happens? So only the organized workers, people who worked in a very good firm or a very good company, only they could manage to keep their head above the water. That means that only they could manage to keep, or you can say they were able to manage their everyday expenses. But they lost their power to bargain. Power to bargain means पहले अगर कोई job offer होता था, since jobs were more and seekers were less, so what they used to do is they had power to bargain, like we'll not be working for 4,000, we want 5,000, we want 6,000. Now they could not bargain, because if they were not ready to work, there were many others to take their position. Big business was in crisis. So even the big business, big people who had big business, even their business was in crisis. The large mass of peasantry were affected by a sharp fall in agricultural prices, and women unable to fill their child's stomachs were filled with a sense of deep despair. So what happened? So big business men suffered, at the same time peasantry suffered, the farmers suffered. Now farmers suffered, why? Because all of a sudden there was a lot reduction in the price of agricultural product. ओके जो एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोडक्ट्स थी उनमें अचानक से बहुत ज्यादा फॉल दिखा था, बिकॉज ऑफ विच इट बिकेम वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर फार्मर्स टू मैनेज. दे हैड ऑलरेडी पुट देयर ऑल कैपिटल इन फार्मिंग, नाउ दे वर नॉट गेटिंग रिटर्न, सो their condition was poor. Even women were in very you can say a very disturbed state, because for a mother the worst state is when she is not able to fulfill or feed her child. So since the scarcity of food started taking place, women in the society were also in great you can say turmoil. This was a very unimaginable situation where you had money in the past, but now you do not have enough to feed your kid. Politically, too, the Weimar Republic was fragile. The Weimar Constitution had some inherent defects, which made it unstable and vulnerable to dictatorship. So, politically, also, this was all about economy. आप अभी तक economy के बारे में देख रहे थे, that people were unhappy, they were losing their job, बड़े businesses close down हो रहे थे, छोटे business already close हो चुके थे, जिनके पास अभी पैसे थे वो future को लेके tense थे, जो organized sectors में थे वो इसलिए tense थे कि कहीं उनकी पैसे की करेंसी मनी की वैल्यू ना कम हो जाए, करेंसी की वैल्यू ना रिड्यूस हो जाए. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट पॉलिटिकली ऑल्सो इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द पॉलिटिक्स, इवन पॉलिटिकल ऑल्सो अनस्टेबिलिटी वाज सीन. ठीक है, पॉलिटिक्स में भी एक बहुत ही अनस्टेबिलिटी आई थी. दिस वाज ऑल बिकॉज ऑफ वेमार रिपब्लिक. आई होप यू रिमेंबर इन द प्रीवियस वीडियो वी डिस्कस्ड अबाउट द बर्थ ऑफ वेमार रिपब्लिक. सो व्हाट हैपेंड, वेमर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जो थी उसमें कुछ डिफेक्ट्स थी, कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स थी. इट वाज नॉट अ परफेक्ट रिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, उसमें कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स थी. और ये सारी जो सिचुएशन थी अभी जर्मनी में, इकोनॉमिक इंस्टेबिलिटी, पॉलिटिकल अनस्टेबिलिटी, ये सब क्या किया था, एक ऐसा सिचुएशन किया था दैट मेड जर्मनी वल्नरेबल टू dictatorship, that paved the way for Germany to take over, the government to take over as take over by a dictator. One was proportionally representation. So one reason was representative form of government. उस समय लोग इतने परफेक्ट नहीं थे that वो इलेक्ट करते और एक representative लाते, और वो representative भी उतना administering नहीं था that he would be comfortably ruling. Now next, another this made achieving a majority by anyone a near impossible task, leading to a rule by coalition. So even political parties were not very stable. ऐसा नहीं था that कोई भी एक single political party को majority मिलती. So what happened was that it gave it paved the way for coalition form of government. Coalition is a such a form of government जहाँ पे एक पार्टी को अगर clear majority नहीं मिलती है, so they can combine with other parties to come in majority or to form a government. Okay, so coalition government, it paved the way for coalition government. Another defect was Article 48, which gave president the power to impose emergency, suspend civil rights, and rule by decree. So what happened? So one more problem what in Weimar Constitution was Article 48. Now what was Article 48? Article 48 gave ultimate power to the president. Okay. Now president had the power to declare emergency. That was okay. To suspend the civil rights, he could take away all the civil rights from the people and could rule by decree, could rule according to his will and demand. So it was, you can say in a way, it was a single-handed concentration of पावर प्रेसिडेंट को सिंगल हैंडेडली सोली पावर कॉन्सेंट्रेट कर दिया गया था विच दिस आर्टिकल 48 क्रिएटेड लॉट्स ऑफ रकस इन एंटायर जर्मन स्टेट्स Within its short life, the Weimar Republic saw 20 different cabinets lasting on an average 239 days, a liberal use of Article 48. So what happened? Weimar Republic ने क्या देखा? That 20 अलग-अलग cabinets बने थे, lasting average 239 days से कोई भी ज़्यादा government नहीं चल पाती थी. Only for 239 days they used to work. और कितनी 20 cabinets बनी थी. That clearly says that Weimar Republic was not successful. अगर सक्सेसफुल होती तो एक लॉन्ग टर्म पार्टी आती जो बहुत दिनों तक रूल करती, बट मैक्सिमम जिस पार्टी ने रूल किया था ऑन एवरेज वो 239 डेज से ज्यादा नहीं गवर्न कर पाते थे. A liberal use of Article 48 और Article 48 जो थी उसकी भी बहुत liberal use was done by the president. Yet the crisis could not be managed. People lost confidence in democratic parliamentary system which seemed to offer no solution. So what happened? People, since the powers was shifting from one party to another, president was changing his, or you can say president was very frequently using Article 48. ये सब होते होते what happened to the people? They lost confidence in democratic parliamentary form of government. They believe that this form of government cannot be fruitful or cannot have a developmental perspective. It does not have a developmental perspective, and they lost faith in the ruling government. And this was the main reason, or you can say this was the only way that paved the way for dictatorship in Germany. ये सबसे बड़ा reason बना था. The people losing faith in the Weimar Republic was one of the main reason that gave rise to Hitler. So your next topic that we'll be dealing in the next video is Hitler rise to power. Now you will be reading the situation that took place after First World War and before Second World War. First World War के खत्म होने के बाद और सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर के स्टार्ट होने से पहले क्या सिचुएशन थी जर्मनी में, कैसे हिटलर एक सिपाही से, एक सोल्जर से जो कि मैसेंजर था, फ्रंट्स पे केवल दौड़ के मैसेजेस बैटलफील्ड से मेन एरिया तक मैसेजेस लाता था, वो पर्सन कैसे इतना पावरफुल बन गया दैट ही टुक कंट्रोल ऑफ नॉट ओनली जर्मनी बट ही वांटेड टू कॉन्कर एंटायर कॉन्टिनेंट, ही वांटेड टू कॉन्कर एंटायर यूरोप. कि कैसे वो पर्सन ग्रो किया और क्यों लोगों ने उसे सपोर्ट किया. बिकॉज इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल दैट ऑल ऑफ अ सडन हिटलर वुड हैव गॉट अ ड्रीम ऑफ बिकमिंग अ डिक्टेटर एंड ही वुड हैव डेफिनेटली गॉट सपोर्ट. व्हाई, व्हाट कन्विंस्ड Helmut's father, if you remember in the first page we have read about Helmut, what convinced Helmut's father to be a support or be so supportive towards Hitler? What made him join Nazi party? What is Nazi party? All this will be dealing in your next video. By that time what you have to do is all what I have taught till now, in your first chapter, your back question answers you have to do as homework. Apart from that, in third chapter, all what we have done till now, you have to find middle questions, and I'll be sending you in the next week. I'll be sending you the back question answers of first chapter. Then what you can do is you can match the answers, and then you can realize what are the mistakes that you have made. Okay, if you remember your first chapter, it was very easy. It was all about French Revolution, which I in the videos I related it with your Indian Revolution also. You can trace many similarity of Indian Revolution with your French Revolution. So by this you can do basically what you have to remember for your main final exams is that the central idea behind French Revolution, क्या ऐसी ideas थी जो originate की थी, या you can say what ideas French Revolution gave birth to certain ideas like liberty, freedom, इक्वालिटी, फैटर्निटी, ये सब आइडियाज का बर्थ ही फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन में हुआ था. सो डू द फर्स्ट चैप्टर क्वेश्चन आंसर्स, एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट फाइंड थर्ड चैप्टर मिडिल क्वेश्चन आंसर. थैंक यू.